I'm just going to come right out and say it. The Canada-US relationship isn't great right now.
Donald Trump declaring on social media that he's officially called off trade talks with Canada.
Our relationship with the United States will never again be the same as it was.
The relationship between its people isn't great. From the very top, Donald Trump, Mark Carney, this icy toast immediately after Trump recently called off trade talks, but right down to regular people like you and me. And I especially mean that if you're Canadian like me. Because look at these bars, round-trip car trips by Canadians to the US. Those are COVID numbers over there. You kind of expect those to be low, but 2025, year one of Trump term two, that's a massive cliff. The latest data showing a more than 30% drop in traffic.
With everything going on in the US, I feel like a lot of Canadians kind of want to stay home.
Won't be going to the US.
No.
We're not going to America. We're not spending our money there. It's Canada first, baby.
Every tally and projection I've seen for 2025 is that the US economy will lose billions of dollars in tourist revenue. And what's more, the fundamental way we see travel here in Canada, is that something we do down south or within our own borders? That's been upended. Let me show you how, and the way that's making some Americans real worried.
Truth is, California just wouldn't be California without Canada. Thank you, Canada.
What do you say to Canadians that don't want to go to the US now because of your 51st state talk, because of the trade war, the tariffs?
Yeah,
and
well,
fear
I
of
understand
also
that. Look, I
Canadians
understand
getting
that. It's something that will get worked out. There's still great love between the two countries.
Yeah, so maybe not. Let's talk about the Canada-US border. In April, new rules kicked in, where if you're a Canadian staying longer than 29 days in the US, you need to register your presence with the US government. That means getting photographed and fingerprinted. For some, that's no big deal. A recent Angus Reid poll suggested somewhere up to a third of Canadians are relatively unbothered by any of that. But the other 2/3, somewhere between concerned and this feels invasive.
I felt ambushed because it happened so quickly, and I was not given a choice to have the picture taken.
I don't like it. I don't like that they're taking so much information from us. It's a little unnerving. I think everything he's doing is kind of helping to decrease travel from and to the United States.
I think it is significant. You've got people that are regular travelers saying that this is a big deal to them. They feel concerned. If you're already feeling some anxiety about crossing over the border, this isn't going to help that. Having to be fingerprinted and put into a registry is not likely to make people more likely to want to travel there.
So check out the latest travel data we're getting from both sides of the border. This line here, those are Canadian round-trip car trips to the US for all of last year, month by month. But here's what 2025 looked like, starting in January with Trump's inaugural take on Canada.
Canada should be a 51st state. Canada's a very bad abuser.
Canada's been ripping us off for a long time. Without the U.S., Canada really doesn't have a country.
Year over year, we've now seen 10 straight months of decline, totaling millions fewer trips to the US in 2025 alone.
Because of Trump, I'm not going to travel to the States.
It's going to be a while before we ever decide to do anything in the US.
And it's not just the land border Canadians are staying away from. Air travel is the same way. This first line, Canadian return trips from the US by plane for all of 2024, and then you see in 2025, January to October, drops once again in every single month. Travel to and from the US clearly down year over year. And mind you, this is at a time when Canadian travel overseas is consistently up year over year. So this is a costly problem for America. The latest projection from the US Travel Association is that their economy will be down nearly $6 billion in tourist revenue compared to last year, driven primarily by the fact that so many Canadians just aren't coming. Now, just so we don't risk blowing this out of proportion, when it comes to America's economy as a whole, tourism and travel is just one piece of the puzzle, right? Because consider juggernaut industries like finance and real estate, professional services like law, consulting, marketing. There's government work, the entire manufacturing sector. All of those dwarf travel and tourism, which is mostly in this bucket right here, but even then, only a part of what's listed there. So I most often see tourism as being responsible for around 3% of US GDP. But 3% of $30 trillion is still almost $1 trillion. And indirectly, maybe there are a couple trillion more in economic spin-offs. So that's a lot of livelihoods on the line.
You are looking at a multi-billion-dollar industry. Literally about 1 out of 12 American jobs are related to travel and tourism.
And Canada is a key part of that. While most travelers within the US are American, Canada is the single biggest outside source of visitors. Just over a quarter of all international visitors to the US come from Canada. Together with Mexico, that's more travel to the US than all other countries combined.
It's our largest international market. You're not just talking about, an on-the-surface economic impact loss of visitor spending. You're talking lost tax revenue to the states and communities. You're also looking at job losses potentially, especially in our border communities. There's a lot of jobs dependent upon that cross-border tourism.
But the projection down the road from the US Travel Association that even with big draws like the FIFA World Cup and America 250 celebrations next year, Canadian travel won't recover to pre-COVID or even pre-Trump levels for another 5 years.
We have seen a 50% decline in our Canadian members.
We just had a large festival last weekend and 50 or 60 of the ticket holders just did not come.
So American businesses have been doing what they can to win Canada back.
If you come from Canada with a Canadian driver's license or a passport, or you use that goofily delightful Canadian accent, we'll give you a 30% discount.
Figure the top destinations for Canadians are New York, Washington, Florida, and California. From those states, we've seen ad campaigns specifically targeting those Canadians they can't afford to lose. From New York, just an hour outside of Montreal.
To our neighbors in Quebec, we know travel choices can be complicated, but if you're looking for a getaway that still feels like home, Plattsburgh and the Adirondack Coast are here for you.
From California, an ad that almost sounds more like an apology than an invitation.
Without you, we wouldn't be as beautiful. And we wouldn't be as full-bodied. Or delicious.
And that messaging comes right from the top.
The Golden State and Canada have always shared so much in common. Sure, you know who's trying to stir things up back in D.C., but don't let that ruin your beach plans.
It's like this very intentional effort to say, Canada, we're not Trump's America.
California, it's the ultimate playground, 2,000 miles from Washington and a world away in mindset. Because here in California, we've got plenty of sunshine and a whole lot of love for our neighbors up north.
But there's a problem here, because all of these ads I've just shown you are from months ago. If they're having an impact, I don't know if I'm seeing it. And that might be because American cities and states, they're not just up against this monumental push effect of Donald Trump on Canadians, steering them away. They're also contending with the pull of a country that, for Trump's entire second term, has been trying to get its own people to stay.
And now is also the time to choose Canada. It might mean changing your summer vacation plans to stay here in Canada and explore the many national and provincial parks, historical sites, and tourist destinations our great country has to offer.
Being our own best customer will put more of every public dollar back into our economy.
And this appears to line up with how Canadians feel. According to an Angus Reid survey, standing up for Canada was a top reason Canadians gave for why they're planning to travel to the US less. And when asked, so then, where are you going instead? Tied for the #1 answer was travel within Canada.
So 87% of those travelers say that they'll find somewhere else to go, and Canada is tied for the top destination alongside just other destinations outside of North America.
This week we were planning on going, but we decided to make a different decision.
Stand up for Canada. They're poking us in the eye, so we got to poke them back.
The Canadian government has seized on this, introducing discounts on attractions that are federally owned or managed. So that means free admission to certain national parks. Same goes for some museums in Ottawa, Quebec, and beyond. Children can even travel for free on Via Rail. And all year, we've seen proof that more and more Canadians don't want to visit the US. Early this year, Canadian domestic travel up. Money spent up even more. Then later in the year, over the summer, an even bigger spike, billions of dollars more flowing within the Canadian economy. Canadian Airbnb bookings within Canada, up in a big way. Growth in almost every single province and territory, and really big growth at that.
It's going to continue if we don't see a significant change in American politics with respect to Canada, but also within the United States as well.
Americans are hoping this is just a hiccup, but if this becomes a longer-term event, you're looking at the loss of billions of dollars of potential tourism revenue in the future.
What this all adds up to is bad news for the US economy. Not make or break on a national level, but certainly a pain point on a local level. And suffer enough of those over a long enough period, that's when this becomes about more than just the dollars and cents.